She always believed no one noticed her, just a quiet waitress working the late shift in a dying diner on the edge of town. But someone was watching. A man sitting in the far corner every night, hidden behind the glow of a laptop and a baseball cap pulled low. She didn't know he was a millionaire and that he had seen everything. Rain lashed against the windows of the small diner off Highway 64, the kind of rain that blurred headlights into smears of white and made the neon signs sputter blue light across the empty parking lot. Emily wiped down the counter for the fifth time, more out of habit than need. It was almost midnight, the hour when the world felt hollow and quiet, and she could hear her own heartbeat echoing inside her ribs. "Rough night," the cook, Frank, asked as he tossed his apron into a bin. "Same as always," Emily said with a soft shrug. "Tips are low, customers grumpy, and the coffee machine sounds like it might explode." Frank chuckled. "Get some sleep, kid. You work too hard." She didn't respond, because she knew he was right. She did work too hard. But what choice did she have? Rent was due. Her mom's medication wasn't cheap. Life didn't pause just because someone got tired. As Frank left through the back door, a soft bell chimed from the front. Emily looked up, and there he was. The same man from the last 3 weeks. Same hat. Same corner booth. Same routine. He walked in right before closing and stayed until she locked the doors. He never flirted. Never bothered her. Never even removed his hat. Just ordered black coffee, tapped quietly on his laptop, and occasionally glanced out the window like he was waiting for something. "Evening," she said politely, forcing a smile as she grabbed a mug. He nodded, voice low and surprisingly gentle. "Evening." She poured the coffee, but something flickered in her chest as she did. A strange tightening. This man unnerved her, and not in a bad way. There was something about him, something clear and sharp in the way he looked at her. Like he saw her, not just the tired waitress uniform. "Long shift?" he asked suddenly. She blinked. Customers didn't usually ask her questions, especially not ones that felt so personal. "Yeah," she admitted. "But it's fine. Someone has to keep the lights on." He studied her for a moment, eyes unreadable beneath the brim of his cap. "Someone like you shouldn't be exhausted every night." Her cheeks warmed. Life doesn't always give us choices. He didn't argue. He just gave a slow, thoughtful nod. As she turned away, she felt his gaze on her back, steady, calm, observant. It should have been creepy, she thought. But it wasn't. Somehow it felt protective. The hours dragged on. Emily stocked shelves, counted receipts, refilled sugar containers. All the while, the man stayed in the corner, tapping on his laptop. But occasionally she'd catch him glancing up, following her movement with quiet eyes. She pretended she didn't notice. At 12:45 a.m., she locked the doors and shut off the neon sign. Still, the man remained seated, now closing his laptop slowly as if waiting for her to finish everything before he left. "Sorry," she said gently. "We're closed." He smiled, not wide, not flashy, just a subtle softening of his stern features. "I know." He walked to the counter, pulling out bills. Far too many for the price of a single cup of coffee. "Sir, this is too much." "Keep it," he said. "I can't." "It's not a tip," he added quietly. "It's help." Her breath hitched, and suddenly her throat tightened. She didn't want pity. She didn't want charity. But the exhaustion of the week came crashing down on her shoulders. "Why?" she whispered. He hesitated, just for a moment before finally saying, "Because I've been watching you." She froze. "Watching me?" Her heart hammered in her chest. He lifted his head slightly, revealing a pair of calm, steady blue eyes. "Not in a bad way. I pass through this town a lot. And every night, I see you fight your way through a life that should be easier. You deserve better than this." She didn't know if she should be touched or terrified. "Who are you?" she asked, searching his face. He opened his mouth, but before he could speak, the headlights of a black SUV flashed across the window, slowing suspiciously as it passed. The man stiffened immediately. "Emily," he said, voice dropping low. "Get down." "What?" Before she could finish, he stepped behind her, gripping her arm gently but firmly as he pulled her out of sight behind the counter. Her pulse exploded with fear. "What is going on?" she whispered. The SUV circled the lot once more. Then again. The man stayed perfectly still, muscles tense, eyes tracking every movement outside like he'd done this before. "Please tell me what's happening," she begged, her voice shaking. He leaned closer, his breath warm against her ear. "I didn't want to bring danger here," he said. "But I didn't expect them to find me this fast." She stared at him in horror. "Danger? Who the hell are you?" Slowly, quietly, he removed his hat. And Emily felt her stomach drop. She recognized his face instantly. Because it had been on the news. Because he wasn't just some traveler. He was a missing millionaire, one who had vanished after being accused of cracking open secrets inside one of the biggest tech companies in the world. People said he fled. People said he stole data. People said he was dangerous. But now he was standing in front of her, breathless, watching the circling SUV with a look that chilled her blood. "My name is Lucas Hale," he finally said. "And you're not alone anymore. Someone's been watching you because of me." She swallowed hard. Her quiet life was about to shatter. The SUV's engine rumbled outside like a low growl, circling slowly, deliberately, as if sniffing the air for its prey. Emily pressed her back against the counter, her breath shallow, her heart pounding so hard she could hear it echo inside her ears. Lucas, if that really was his name, remained crouched just inches from her, still as stone, his eyes narrowed on the shadows outside the diner's windows. The storm hadn't let up. Rain streaked down the glass in messy rivulets, bending the headlights into warped beams. But even through the distorted view, Emily could feel the menace radiating from the vehicle. "What do they want?" she whispered, terrified her voice might carry. Lucas shook his head slowly. "Not here. Not now." She swallowed, her throat tight. "Lucas, you need to explain. Why is some SUV circling this place like a shark?" He finally turned his gaze on her, and for the first time, she saw fear flickering behind his usually calm eyes. That scared her more than anything outside. "Emily, I exposed something I wasn't supposed to. Something a lot of powerful people want buried," he said in a low whisper. "It's complicated, and I didn't mean to drag you into it." She blinked rapidly. "But you did."
His jaw tightened.
"I know." They stayed hidden a few seconds longer before the SUV finally slowed, then rolled away, vanishing back onto the highway. Emily waited until the sound of the engine fully faded before pushing herself up, her hands trembling. "Okay," she said breathlessly. "Talk." Lucas stood slowly, expression grim. He placed the hat back over his damp hair, the brim shadowing his eyes once more. It felt like he'd put a mask back on. "Not here," he repeated. "Security cameras. Windows. Too exposed." "You've been coming here every night," she said, anger mixing with fear. "Don't you think it's a little late for privacy?" His expression softened, regret heavy in his voice. "I never meant for this place to become my hiding spot. I just felt safe near you." Her heart thumped once, a painful beat. "Safe? I'm a waitress in a rundown diner, Lucas. I'm not a bodyguard." "No," he said gently. "But you're steady.
Real.
And you don't ask questions unless you need answers." He stopped, as if catching himself. Emily crossed her arms, despite the shake in her hands. "Well, I need answers now." Lucas ran a hand over his face. "If we talk here, they might track us. I know a safer place." She stared at him, the storm rumbling outside like the sky itself was warning her not to follow him. She didn't know this man. She shouldn't trust him. He could be lying, manipulating her. But deep in her gut, something whispered that he wasn't the villain in this story. He looked too tired, too hunted, too human. "Please, Emily," he said, lowering his voice. "I don't want to put you in danger by staying." Her breath hitched. She grabbed her coat from the hook near the counter, her hands moving before her mind could catch up. "I swear to God, if you get me killed," she muttered. Lucas gave a faint, humorless laugh. "Believe me, I'm trying very hard not to." They slipped out the back door into the wet night. Lucas kept close, glancing over his shoulder again and again. The diner looked different from the outside. Empty, vulnerable, isolated. Emily suddenly realized how alone she'd been working in this place night after night. Lucas led her to a beat-up black pickup truck parked beneath a flickering streetlight. "This is yours?" she asked doubtfully. "Borrowed," he answered quickly. "From who?" "A man who won't miss it for a while."
She paused.
"That is not comforting." Lucas opened the passenger door for her. "I know." Emily climbed in, her stomach twisting with nerves. Lucas got behind the wheel, wiped rain from his face, and started the truck. They drove in silence for several minutes, the windshield wipers slashing through the rain in tired, uneven strokes. The highway melted into dark forest roads. The only light came from the truck's dull headlights. "Where are we going?" she finally asked. "To somewhere they won't search immediately," Lucas replied. "That's vague." "It's safer that way." Emily stared at him, tracing the sharp lines of his face, the tension in his jaw, the exhaustion beneath his eyes, the faint bruise near his temple she hadn't noticed before. He looked like a man who hadn't slept in days. "You said you exposed something," she said softly. Lucas exhaled. "Yeah." "What was it?" After a long moment, he answered. "My company was building a surveillance system. One that didn't just monitor public spaces, but private ones too.
Homes. Phones.
Devices. It was disguised as a feature to improve customer safety. But it was a lie. It was a tool for control." Emily felt her blood go cold. "And you leaked it?" she whispered. "I tried. Before they shut everything down and made me disappear." His hands tightened around the wheel. "They painted me as unstable. A criminal. A threat. But all I did was tell the truth." Emily's heart twisted. "And now they want to silence you." Lucas nodded once. "Along with anyone who knows too much." She realized the awful truth. "Including me." His jaw clenched. "I'm sorry." She swallowed hard, her voice shaking. "Lucas, why did you keep coming to the diner?" He hesitated. The truck hummed quietly as the rain softened into a mist. "Because you reminded me of who I used to be," he said quietly. "Before all of this. Before the lies. Before the running." Her chest tightened at the raw honesty in his tone. "You work hard. You care about people. You're kind even when you're exhausted. The world hasn't gotten to you yet." His voice grew softer. "I liked being around that." Emily didn't know what to say. Suddenly, Lucas jerked the wheel, pulling the truck onto a narrow gravel path. The trees closed in overhead, turning the world into darkness. "Almost there," he murmured. She looked around nervously. "Lucas, what exactly is?" A flash of headlights appeared in the rearview mirror. Lucas's entire body stiffened. "No," he whispered. "They found us." The headlights accelerated. Emily felt fear slam into her chest like a physical force. "Lucas." "Hold on." The truck lurched forward, gravel sprang behind them as the vehicle chasing them surged closer and closer, engine roaring through the trees. Emily gripped the seat, heart in her throat. "Lucas, what do we do?" He didn't answer. He was too busy trying to outrun the danger he brought straight into her life. The truck skidded violently as Lucas turned sharply, the tires shrieking against the wet gravel. Emily's shoulders slammed into the door, a cry escaping her lips. Behind them, the other vehicle, a sleek black SUV, burst out from the trees, headlights slicing through the darkness like twin blades. "Lucas," she gasped. "They're gaining on us." "I see them," he shouted over the roar of the engine. The narrow road twisted like a snake through the forest. Tree branches slapped against the windshield, leaving streaks of rain and broken twigs. Emily reached instinctively for the dashboard, clinging to anything stable. She could barely hear herself think. "How did they find us?" she yelled, voice cracking. Lucas's grip tightened on the wheel. "It doesn't matter. We just need to lose them." The SUV surged forward aggressively, closing the gap. Emily could almost feel its heat behind them, could imagine the cold eyes of whoever sat inside. "Faster, Lucas." I can't push the engine more than this. If it stalls, we're dead. A flash of panic shot through Emily. The truck wasn't built for high-speed chases. It rattled with every turn, its old frame groaning under the strain. The SUV, in contrast, moved like a predator, smooth, powerful, unrelenting. Emily's heart pounded so hard she thought it might burst. Her mind raced through every terrible possibility. She wasn't supposed to be here. She was supposed to be safe in her little diner, serving late-night coffee and refilling napkin holders. She wasn't supposed to be running for her life with a man she barely knew. But here she was. And the strangest part was she didn't regret getting in the truck. Not yet. A desperate jolt threw them sideways as Lucas jerked the wheel again. They burst out of the forest onto a service road beside the river, the moonlight flickering across the surface of the rushing water. Mist rose up like pale ghosts dancing along the banks. Emily looked up just in time to see a sharp bend ahead. Lucas, we're not going to make that turn. I know. The SUV behind them accelerated, trying to ram them from behind. The impact slammed Emily forward, nearly knocking the breath from her lungs. They're trying to push us into the river, she screamed. Lucas wiped blood from the corner of his lip. She hadn't noticed he'd hit his head earlier. Then we don't give them the chance. With a sudden, reckless move, he veered off the road entirely. Lucas, no. There's nowhere to. The truck crashed through a wall of overgrown brush and into an old logging path. Mud splashed everywhere, branches clawed at the sides, and the forest swallowed them in darkness. The SUV tried to follow, but the path was too narrow. It screeched to a halt, unable to push through the thick growth. Lucas didn't stop. He kept driving until the truck finally sputtered and groaned, the engine coughing like an old dog. Come on, Lucas muttered. Come on, just a little more. The truck lurched a final few feet, then died completely. Silence. Only the sound of rain dripping through the leaves remained. Emily didn't realize she'd been holding her breath until it released in a painful rush. They can't get through, she whispered. No, Lucas said quietly. But they will find another way around. Emily stared at him, heart still racing. So what now? Lucas grabbed a backpack from behind the seat and slung it over one shoulder. Now we walk. He opened his door and stepped into the rain-soaked forest. Emily followed reluctantly, shivering as the cold clung to her clothes and skin. Lucas, she said, trying to steady her voice, you need to tell me everything. No more half-truths. No more secrets. If I'm in this with you, I need to know why. He paused, shoulders rising and falling with a long exhale. When he turned to her, his eyes had softened in a way she hadn't expected. You're right, he said. You deserve the truth. He motioned for her to follow him deeper into the woods, moving cautiously. Together they wove between towering pines as thunder rolled above. My real name isn't Lucas Reed, he finally said. That's the alias they forced me to take when they erased my identity. Emily blinked rainwater from her lashes. Forced? Erased? He nodded. My birth name is Lucas Carrington. Emily froze mid-step. Carrington? As in, Carrington Industries? He hesitated for a beat. Yes. Emily gasped. Lucas, that's one of the biggest tech companies in the country. The board said the CEO had a breakdown months ago. They said he abandoned his role and disappeared. Lucas gave her a tired, bitter smile.
Yeah.
That was their story. Emily covered her mouth as the realization hit her like a punch. You're the missing CEO, she whispered. The one they never found. He nodded once. And they would have rather declared me dead than let me expose what they were doing. Emily felt the world tilt. She stepped back, knees buckling, overwhelmed by the truth. All those quiet nights at the diner, all those gentle conversations, all those moments she thought he was just a lonely stranger. And he had been carrying a secret that could topple a corporation. Emily, he said softly, stepping closer. I didn't tell you, because I didn't want this life touching yours. But you got dragged into it anyway. And I'm so damn sorry. A tear escaped her eye before she could stop it. Lucas, I don't even know what to think. He reached out slowly, as if afraid she might break. I'm still me. The man who sat at your counter. The man who listened to your stories. The man who watched you keep that whole place running with nothing but grit and heart.
His voice softened.
I never lied about how much those moments meant to me. She stared at him, breathing unsteady. She wanted to be angry. She wanted to walk away. But looking at him, cold, exhausted, hunted, yet somehow still protective, she couldn't deny the truth. He cared. What do we do now? She whispered. Lucas looked toward the flickering lights of the town far beyond the trees. Now, he said, we disappear for the night. And tomorrow we fight back. Before Emily could answer, a twig snapped somewhere behind them. She and Lucas both froze. Then came voices. Flashlights. Footsteps drawing closer. Emily, Lucas whispered, grabbing her hand. Run. Emily didn't stop to think. She didn't stop to breathe. The moment Lucas grabbed her hand, her legs moved on pure instinct. The forest floor was slick with rain, leaves and mud sliding under her shoes as they ran deeper into the darkness. Behind them, flashlights cut through the trees like shards of lightning. There. Over there. Voices.
Male.
Aggressive. Too close. Lucas. Emily panted, stumbling over a root. Where are we going? Ahead, he whispered. There's an old ranger station. I used it as a safe point once. If we can make it there, we might have a chance. Might, she repeated, breathless. That word is doing a lot of heavy lifting right now. He didn't answer. He was listening. Always listening. His head tilted slightly, eyes tracking the movement of the lights behind them. Then he pulled her toward a slope she barely saw in time. Careful, he murmured, supporting her as they half slid, half ran down a muddy incline. The wind howled through the trees, branches bending like skeletal fingers. Emily's lungs burned, her heart slamming in her chest, every muscle trembling. She could hear the men crashing through the forest. But Lucas never let go of her hand. Suddenly, a faint glow flickered ahead, an old wooden cabin, barely visible through the rain. Its windows were dark, the door crooked. A forgotten ranger outpost. We're almost there, he whispered. But the moment they reached the clearing, the forest behind them erupted with light. There, someone shouted. Don't let them reach the cabin. Lucas cursed under his breath. Go. Emily, go. He pushed her forward, and she sprinted toward the porch, slipping on the wet steps before throwing herself at the door. It creaked loudly, the hinges screaming in protest. Then it gave way. She stumbled inside just as Lucas slammed the door behind them. The cabin was cold, dusty, abandoned for years. But it had walls. A lock. Shelter. Lucas threw his backpack onto the floor and dug through it quickly. Emily pressed her back against the door, breath shaking. They're going to break in.
Not immediately, he replied.
They'll be cautious. They think I'm unarmed. He pulled out a small metal device, a compact, military-looking signal jammer. Emily blinked. Wait, you had all this the whole time? I hoped I'd never need it. He flicked a switch. The device hummed. What does it do? Kills communication. No calls in or out. They'll have to rely on line of sight. Emily tried to steady herself. Lucas, what if they rush all at once? Then I buy you time. Her throat tightened.
No.
No, absolutely not. We're getting out of this together. He turned to her then, and even in the dim cabin light, she saw the fear in his eyes, but not for himself. You don't understand, he whispered. You're the only leverage I have. They won't kill you. But me? I'm the loose end. Emily stepped forward, anger rising. Don't you dare decide for me. I'm not some pawn in your... A thunderous crash shook the door. Emily jumped. Lucas grabbed her shoulders gently but urgently. Emily, listen to me. No, she snapped, her voice cracking with emotion. You walked into that diner every night, sat at my counter, looked me in the eyes, and now you think I'd ever leave you? Lucas, you can't do that to people and expect them not to care. His jaw clenched, his eyes softening with something she couldn't name. Regret. Hope. Something deeper. Emily, he whispered, I never meant for you to get involved. Another crash. Wood splintered. Footsteps surrounded the cabin. Emily grabbed his wrist. We survived this. Together. Do you hear me? He stared at her, chest rising and falling, rain dripping from his hair. For the first time, he looked like he believed her. Okay, he said softly. Together. A loud bang. Someone was trying to kick the door in. Lucas pulled Emily toward the back of the cabin. There's a cellar door. It leads to an old escape tunnel. Rangers used it during wildfire seasons to get to the river. Emily frowned. Why didn't we come through that way? Because I needed them to come here, he answered. The only way out is if they think they've finally trapped me. The door cracked. Wood snapped. Voices shouted. Lucas lifted the cellar hatch and helped Emily down the ladder. She landed on wet dirt, the tunnel dark and narrow. Hurry, she whispered up to him. He didn't move. Lucas, she said, panic rising. Lucas, get down here. Lucas knelt at the opening, his face lit by the weak glow of the cabin's dying lantern. Emily, they'll hear the hatch close. They'll know we went this way. So, she cried. Then we run. His voice shook. It's too risky. They won't follow you if they think I'm still inside. A tear rolled down her cheek. Lucas, don't do this. Please. His hand trembled as he brushed her cheek with his thumb. Soft, warm, unbearably gentle. You changed everything for me, he whispered. In a diner in the middle of nowhere, you made me feel human again. The door above slammed open. Lucas, she pleaded, grabbing his shirt. Don't leave me. He leaned down and kissed her. Quick, desperate, full of everything he never said. Then he pulled away. Live, he whispered. For both of us. And, before she could stop him, he closed the hatch. Darkness swallowed her. Emily pounded on the wood, tears streaming down her face. Lucas. Lucas. But above her, she heard only shouts. Boots. A struggle. Broken furniture. Then a gunshot. Emily froze. The world went silent. Her breath hitched violently as she pressed her hands to her mouth, tears spilling down her cheeks. She sank to her knees in the cold dirt, the sound echoing in her skull. Lucas.
Gone. No.
No, he couldn't be. He couldn't. Her heart shattered in her chest. But then, a voice whispered from ahead in the tunnel. Emily, come on. We have to move. Her head snapped up. Lucas.
Alive.
She scrambled through the darkness toward the faint silhouette limping toward her. Lucas, she sobbed, throwing her arms around him. He winced but held her tight. They only saw a shadow. I doubled back when they went inside. We have minutes, maybe less. Emily gripped him like she'd never let go again. Then let's go. Together, they fled into the night. Two hunted souls. Two beating hearts. One impossible bond forged in fear, truth, and something dangerously close to love. And behind them, the men who wanted him erased realized the truth too late. The CEO they tried to destroy wasn't alone anymore. He had someone worth fighting for. And he wasn't running anymore. He was coming back.